Cheedy bastard.
Yeah.
Are we
Yes,
on?
are we on now? Have we crashed in?
He's talking about that fellow Leo that we
I don't know how far we got into that, whether you named the shop that you weren't going to name.
That's what editing's for.
Exactly,
That's what
is it?
editing's
I
for.
thought we don't edit it.
No, we
The
do not edit.
caption.
I'd sooner leave it in and get in trouble than...
Yeah, fair
Kate,
Hello, everyone.
how do
Hi.
you pronounce your surname? Is it Sevilla?
Sevilla.
Sevilla?
Yeah, so I was wondering whether
Italian?
it was like the...
No,
Oh.
so I grew up saying Sevilla. My dad's Filipino, so it's technically a Spanish surname because of the Spanish colonization in the Philippines.
Right.
And so,
So what's
Sevilla.
your back? He's not Filipino.
No, so because I had a quick look at your profile. I didn't do a full stalk, but it said mixed. He said you were mixed race, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm curious what that, and you scroll because obviously naturally the assumption mixed race. I think we just have an assumption that means you're white, black.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not. That's not your mix.
No, there's a whole lot of mixes. though.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And being a mix, I suppose, but I never think of myself as a mixed race person,
Yeah.
even though I suppose technically I am. So I was like, oh, Filipino and American. Is that right? I'm Filipino and American? Or
Yeah. So
Filipino?
my dad.
I mean,
so
what's
my-
an American, I suppose?
I mean, what isn't?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So my dad's parents were from the Philippines.
Yeah.
My paternal grandmother. So she was technically mixed as well because her dad was from North Carolina to begin
Okay.
with. So yeah. So my dad is mixed but majority Filipino. My mom is like generic American white lady with various European,
Yeah.
on both sides of her family. So I look very white, but when people like see my surname and they really look at me and they kind of go, "Oh, there's something like there's something," and I'm like, "Careful, like, what does that mean?" But yeah. So I it took me a while to kind of properly kind of identify as being. I think I'm still kind of working with it, especially when you look white. It's hard. And people like if you're white presenting and people treat you like you're white, then if you're like technically mixed race, but it's like, well, no, but you society treats you as if you're white just because you technically are mixed.
Yeah.
The way that you're treated is different.
So if you technically, do you think that every generation there'll be less and less people that aren't mixed, won't there?
More.
Yeah, no, there'll be more. I think there was a projection.
Oh, sorry, more mixed.
Yeah,
people,
we're basically
so less.
we're all a bit eventually.
As soon as
end up mixed
airplanes
race.
got invented, that was the end of that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there'll be some,
No, because if
some
you had to
enclaves
walk to
in
Africa,
America.
it's not how many of your family are ever going to walk to Africa. But if when the planes there, they're always somebody's going to go. So over.
Yeah, I mean mass migration and people.
Yeah, but I mean it would be
as well.
less so when there wasn't aeroplanes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
now there is.
Yeah.
It's like you're popping on the bus to
Yeah.
go up the road. I don't know what that
To
conversation.
shag someone and then have a baby.
Yeah.
That's great. That's what
But
buses
it's
are for.
Yeah, but essentially, we're all going to end up. I mean, probably
I've gone.
years,
See,
but-
because I'm anti-fascist.
right.
But
It's nice that you
We've
that
gone
you have
right
to
into
announce
this.
that. Yeah, we went straight.
I've
in
gone
there.
back because what I like. I tell you, about a few years ago, I was just watching something on YouTube, some video,
Yeah.
and because my thing is, I like everyone to mix. That's the thing, mix and communities and all that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, as long as you don't lose what was there, because I saw a YouTube video, and it was one song. I can't remember what it was, but it was showing all different. They took this song to different cultures and made them dance, and they had like Slovakian ballet dance and an African tribe. And I thought it actually made me tear up, like how beautiful the different. Just you're completely different, like you're just a beautiful own thing. And I was worried that we lose that. Because do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
don't
suppose
want to all
it's
mix and
finding
all
the
be
balance
the same.
between let's all be friends and let's all be multicultural,
But you-
blah,
I
blah,
wanna-
but
I wanna
also let's
know-
preserve some of the
Yeah.
uniqueness. So let's preserve the Hawaiian language.
Well,
but
what's
let's
the-
all go live in Hawaii.
I
too.
don't know what to call them now. Native Americans.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's still the.
And I saw a show,
accepted
a
term,
documentary, and they said there's like a handful of people. The kids aren't learning the language; they just don't want it. And I thought
think
that's
that this
terrible.
has less to do with people like mixing so much that you kind of
Yeah,
blend out.
yeah.
Culture. It's down to parents
Yeah,
to kind of bequeath
Yeah.
their traditions and history
Yeah.
and cuisine and
yeah. But that's what I'm worried we're going to lose. I've gone back the other way now. Like I want to go to that country and experience that. It's like when you go to any country now, you're losing. You have to go further and further out before you know what it's like to be in that
I think
country.
if that ever happens, you will have been dead for so many years.
Yeah, don't worry about me. I just worry about society on the whole.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to
think
go
of
to a
always-
country and just see another Asda and a Tesco.
But that's
in
just how
exactly the
things
same place.
evolve. We
Yeah.
don't.
But I don't like that. You should. don't know what you.
You know, but we don't go around wassailing all the time, or we don't do
Miss wassailing.
Yeah, exactly. Totally missed. You can't really do wassailing anymore because it involves. It's not actually blackface, but it's where because this is in Saxon
didn't
time.
know that was
yeah, but
included.
it's one of those things where you go, oh, that looks really dodge.
I thought it was caroling.
It's basically like caroling, but they have a
blackface?
character. No, there's a character who is in what
Is this
we
the
would.
Swedish thing?
No. Well, possibly because obviously it's Saxon, so there's going to be the scan. But
No,
there is a
Dutch.
character who puts on black makeup, but it's not to be blackface.
Of course,
It's
yeah.
not
Or
to be blackface.
It's something
But
Pete.
It's like
Something- it's a thing, it's in
but
the
now
Netherlands.
people would look at that now and go, oh my god, that's so. And
Yeah.
it's like, but that's not what it's. But
Why was he doing it?
it was just to be a spiritual character. It wasn't any.
I wasn't to
It wasn't
reflect the
even.
sun or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, there was probably maybe. Oh, I don't think there would, because there were black people in England as far back as the Roman Empire, like they had, because they had an African legion that were manning the
Oh right, yeah.
Hadrian's Wall.
That's the thing. You don't really know anything about history, do you? Because it's just what you've been told by the people that were in charge of history.
That's
at the
been
time.
massively whitewashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, literally.
Like literal.
Yeah. Oh god, media.
Media, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go
yeah.
modern
Great.
media, modern media technology. Let's get back to that. So you've done a few things,
I have.
which is
done-
good. No, I don't like. Oh god, who have we had on? I don't want to.
Well, I don't know. I need more information than who we've had on. This
think
is
I'm
episode-
all right.
Is this episode 53 or 4?
Oh.
Oh, no,
I like
54
when
on.
people have done various things. I don't. No, I'm not going to go down that road.
Anyway,
Because I was going to say, you've got to diversify. That means you can do a lot, and you've done I like somebody's mind. If somebody's done something for 20 years, it's the same thing. I always think,
well, you've worked.
Who
with lots
can
of
do
different-
that
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
know some.
It's
So-
the gig economy, isn't it?
What does that
say?
stand for again?
The gig. No, it's literally the gig economy.
Oh,
you
gig,
have a gig,
right, yeah.
and then you move to the next gig, or you have several gigs on at once.
So the BuzzFeed managing UK
You sound
editor.
like such a
Yeah.
the BuzzFeed.
No, because that's one I want to know. So, what was BuzzFeed? Or what is BuzzFeed rather? Because I wanted to ask about that. It's a various things. You got the magazine. It's a website.
So
Yeah.
BuzzFeed it started in the States.
Oh, it's in
I'm
America.
trying to think. I think it was maybe like as early as maybe like 2010.
Yeah.
And it used to be kind of like an aggregator. Like you could, I
Ah.
remember an editor that I had a long time ago being like, you must submit our links to BuzzFeed, because they used to kind of like collect things that were cool on
That's
the
what it was.
internet.
Oh,
That's kind
yeah.
of how it
Right.
used to be
Yeah,
very
yeah.
long time ago. And then it evolved into a website, so like an online magazine, where they did a lot of quizzes, and it was all funny stuff and listicles. I hate that word so much.
Right,
but
yeah, I saw that
that's
word,
what-
and I
that's what
specifically
they're
didn't
kind
look
of-
it up because I noticed it was your favourite word. So what does it mean, listicles?
It's a list, so it's an article. That's a list. So it's a list.
Oh, I thought it was more deep than that.
It'll be
No,
stuff like the top.
it's not as deep as that.
It's the top.
They're
10,
hard.
whatever.
They're hard to write. Like
Right.
at this sort of peak. So that's what they kind of gained momentum for being funny, and they did really well on social media. And then they launched the UK office 2013. I think it was like March 2013, and then I joined in September. And then they kind of transitioned a couple years later into doing more news. So now their kind of emphasis is very much on news and investigations, plus the funny stuff that kind of
So they still
brings
do
in the
that.
traffic. They do, yeah.
That brings in the traffic.
But the
brings
thing
in
is, that's the same. That seems to be the case with a lot of these sort of online that are now news sites. Is that even things like Unilad and all those kind of ones. They start off
Yeah.
being just. I mean, Unilad still tends to be a bit more silly.
No, but
But
I
now
think
they've
that they
started to really
have-
branch out into
Yeah.
like now we're focusing on men's mental health and now we're
great.
looking at environmental. And it went from here's a funny video of a cat that sounds like it's laughing. Or here's or jokes. I mean, they also I think it was Unilad did a thing where they mocked an actor who basically putting on a lot of weight, and then he responded,
Jesus.
and then they actually said, hands up, we held our hands up, we got this one, because basically he just said I was comforted.
So is it always just when
mentally.
money gets involved? You get enough people clicking on, then money gets involved, and say, right, now we've got to.
Not necessarily. I mean, because that was before.
So who started these? Last time,
I mean,
where's
no.
the person
Well,
who-
Unilad was basically started on Facebook. I don't know about BuzzFeed's origins.
Is there a
It was the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there a bloke or a woman?
Yeah,
that,
Jonah Peretti.
and it's still in.
He's still CEO, yeah. So he was at Huffington Post, I believe, before. And then he started up BuzzFeed. And then the editor-in-chief in New York is Ben Smith.
Oh,
And
okay.
then in the UK, Luke Lewis approached them. So he was the editor. Hi, Luke. He was the editor over at NME, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And then he pitched to them, hey, you guys should be doing something in the UK. There's a massive opportunity over here, and like did a mock-up of the homepage and pitched that to them. And
there'll
like,
be a different site to the American one, were there?
We had a different homepage, yeah.
What would be the angle for more British and more American? What would be the thing?
When I joined in the UK, the US, it was a lot of Kardashians.
Yeah.
And that stuff.
Are they still about? Are they still doing their thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
They're not
Still
going
don't know
away.
what they look
I don't
like.
really know anything about them,
Right.
but yeah.
I still don't know what they do.
They do a lot.
A few of them.
But what are they famous for?
One's a model. One has
modeling.
brands and things.
Yeah.
She does lip gloss. I want to say something.
Company.
Yeah. So she's in
Is
the
anyone
world's
more
youngest
famous than
billionaire.
them?
What in the world?
Trendy or whatever the word is.
There's probably other people coming up, isn't?
But they were the main ones. I'd hear that name again and again.
Yeah, they're always there.
Yeah.
So who's the main one? Who's the
I guess Kim is probably the main
Who's
one.
she?
Kim Kardashian.
No, I
the
mean
one that's
a
married
bigger,
to
a bigger cult celebrities or whatever you call it, celebrity family.
What than the Kardashians?
Yeah.
I don't think there's. I think they are probably still the.
They're
biggest.
still, I think.
Really? I still haven't heard the name. Well, that doesn't mean.
I mean, I can't imagine
So
you're
you-
watching, but that's a bit like there would be an older generation going, "Oh,
You
I
hear about
I've
them
never
all the
heard of the
time.
Beatles. What are you talking about?" Because they don't listen to it, so you're not watching,
Yeah.
keeping up with.
But
the
you still
Kardashians
hear
or-
things.
Yeah, but they're not as big over here, are they? I would say.
don't
I
know.
think people watch the show, but they're not around.
Yeah.
Is their show still on?
I
Yeah.
assume so. Yes.
It is, yeah.
We do have a young person among.
Yeah, we're like, oh,
yes.
you
Still
seem
going
youthful,
on.
do you know?
We've had that before with rappers.
We have had that. Yeah, last week. I think it was last week. We were going, well, it's not grunge and it's not garage.
the type of
it's-
music.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Yeah.
So they're still
Crime,
going-
you old men. It's crime.
yeah. Little note gets passed across. I know. Yeah, so but no, I'm sort of glad. Like on the way here, I was talking to Aisha, and I said I'm glad of a few things.
Right.
I'm glad I've never.
Just a couple.
I'm glad I've never
Let's
been in
not
a
go
strip
overboard.
club. I'm
Okay.
glad I don't know who the Kardashians are.
What do you mean you've never been in a strip
Yeah, I'm
club?
proud to say I've never been in one because everyone's been in them. I don't think there's any good thing about being in
I've
them.
never been in one.
Yeah, high five. I met somebody who'd never been in a McDonald's. The family grew up with not. Oh, that's great. That's me.
I was just.
I
about
wish
to
I could.
say,
I was like jealous. I was like, God
do you guys
damn.
curse on this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, oh, fuck off if you've never.
In fact, I relaxed a bit when you said shag, and I thought, oh, that's I can relax.
No, I have a
little.
horrible. Now that I know, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll relax.
We swear.
And what was the other thing?
Theo gets
What's the
comments
other
about
thing
his
I said?
work.
I was proud. I've forgotten it now.
I don't know. You have your memory, have your recall skills.
Oh, casino. Yeah, no casinos, no strip clubs. And I had my best mate worked in a strip club.
Yeah.
And he said, "Come in, just trying to sort me out." And I was like, "I can't. That's too embarrassing."
Saw you out.
No, I thought that. I was like,
No, because he was saying you're always single, and he said, "Oh, look, this is a girl here, but you'll like her."
This
So-
is a way
Give
to
me best
meet.
mate.
This is a way to meet women.
No, but that's the thing, because I would be dead before I started. I said, "Mate, I'll just be asking them about their grandmothers and what do you want out of life?" And I can't sit there with somebody that wants to be paid to talk to me. Forget it. It's just the opposite.
I don't think they're to pay to
No,
talk.
but he'd say, "Oh, there's somebody, you're a businesswoman, she's doing this thing, you really get on with it." And I just thought, I don't want to go into a strip club. I said before, I've got no problem as long as you're like
Yeah.
studying to be a doctor on the side or something like that. Then I respect you.
Yeah,
But not just a full-on, full-time.
I did have a girlfriend who was a stripper and was paying,
I've been-
but
A
you
lot-
had
a
to
lot
pay
of
for
them
university. It was
pay
the
for
weird.
things.
Yeah.
And
You were
even
like,
if
I thought that was
they
just an
don't,
excuse.
It's like,
Yeah.
still respect you.
But this one was a mainstream, let's just say, one. And it was just, he said they would come in, the next day they come in skint. They spent $2,000 the day before on shoes, and now they're, again, because they're skint, and now they do it again. And every day they come in the skint. But he said there's this one person, he said, "Trust me,
Shoes.
you'll like her."
Really shoes.
No, yeah, she said one girl had £800 shoes, and she came in, she was being bitchy to somebody else because she's skint, and she's got to get. He just said to her, "I've spent £800 yesterday, and the money's gone because it's easy come." I could tell you some stuff about that industry. It's like it's funny, but yeah, I've been on a date with a stripper. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But was this going down nowhere?
Yeah.
Offer strippers.
So casinos, you've never been in one of those either?
I just as a side story, when I was putting the magazine together, because I try to fight against the norm. Like I actually go out of my way to do it. And one of the persons I wanted to write for the magazine was a stripper, but she was doing English literature, and I wanted her to do things on books.
Yeah.
But I liked the fact it was from a different perspective of somebody that's not. And I thought, no, that's your skill that you're doing that and doing that. That's what I want to hear. But I've never known anybody to be late to every single time, not by 5 minutes, like half an hour, and just walk in. And I found out about her.
Surely as a stripper, time is money.
Yeah, I found out about her from when she was.
She was making more money at her.
She was on a radio show,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say her name. She was on a radio show where she was late for the show, and they were having to cover up. She said, "Oh, she's running a bit late," and then she was late to meet. And then she was late 2 times after. And I thought, I can't. And we was in Leicester Square.
Why don't you just lie and say we're meeting at this time, and then she'll turn up late for the actual time?
Yeah, well, yeah. I had no time for games, but she would be in the because she'd worked near Leicester Square. I think sorry, just going to say that.
That's really narrow.
Yeah,
No,
they had
but-
a big.
But we was in
Wonder.
Leicester Square having the meeting, and she'd be sat in there, and just some bloke would come up and go, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm thinking, this isn't going to work.
She has good regular customers. Good for her.
Yeah, she was a bit scatty. She couldn't. She had no attention span. Like she just couldn't sit still. And I was like, this. And I wanted to.
Was her attention span about the length of, say, a song?
Yeah, every time the song changed,
She'd be like, right, that's
right. We've gone way off track
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah, if we could talk about something else, it'd be
Yeah,
great.
strippers. So BuzzFeed. So how long were you there for? The UK editor.
No, I was managing editor. So when I
Amazing.
started, I was a homepage editor for both the US and the UK.
Oh, okay.
And I worked from like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. allegedly.
Yeah.
And then I would come into the office and I would stay far too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did that. I was homepage editor for like maybe
And
8 months
what
or
do
something,
you
and then I
co-
was managing editor.
What mindset do you come in with? Like, do you come in to manage what's there, or do you go right? We're coming to change an angle on what we're doing,
Yeah, I mean,
or do they leave it up to you?
for the homepage stuff, it was basically, okay, we had a very small team, so we could only produce so much content. So
Right.
then it was kind of my job to schedule out the content that we were producing and then balancing that with American stories that weren't too American.
Yeah.
So what do we think is still going to work
Right,
for a
okay.
British audience? And a lot of it does, because I think the cool thing about the internet is that it's made things less territorial and less like, oh, British people won't know what that is.
Right,
And it's
yeah.
like, well, no, they will.
Yeah.
Because people go on the internet,
Yeah, yeah.
social media, and everything is a lot smaller than it used to be.
What was your first media job?
My first media job.
What was your first job ever?
My first job ever was at Cold Stone Creamery. I don't know if you've been
that-
to the States and been to
No.
one of those places. It's an ice cream parlor, and what sets them apart is that they have a refrigerated marble like slab behind the counter.
Yeah.
And then you take out the ice cream using
Onto
like
the slab.
spades.
Yeah.
And then you like roll the ice cream out, and then you put it on it, and then people can mix in sweets.
Right.
Or cookies, and then you mix it all together.
How long did it take
and
you to get
sing
sick?
for tips?
Oh God.
Yep.
There's I had an American. She was talking about marketing the show, but they were talking about tips in America.
Yeah.
And there was one waitress that they spoke to who'd been doing it for years, and she said, "You get an automatic, basically an extra 10% tip if you put a smiley face on the receipt." He said it just does something to people.
People do that a lot.
Yeah, she said if you just put a smiley face on it, it bumps it.
I
up.
just write
Hits that
something like,
guilt.
I've got 5 kids.
yeah,
I've got 5 kids.
Please.
a picture of me and my
tip
children.
generously.
Tiny Tim won't have any eggs to eat at Christmas.
Please help me. Written on an exclamation mark.
Yeah, if you're hiring, thank you. Their CV.
And where in America was?
I grew
where
up
did
in
you hail from?
a small town called Elk Grove,
Ah,
like
yes.
a grove of
Right.
elks.
Fair enough.
Oh, Elk
And-
Grove.
of
Okay.
elk. Yeah, I never saw an elk. Yeah, so that's just south of Sacramento.
Okay.
And what did you study?
I didn't go to college.
Oh, nice.
So I went to a community college for trying to think. And the times I turned up,
Yeah.
I went for probably a semester and a half, solid. I think technically 3.
So what is community?
You know, I was just about to
college?
ask you that.
You hear
Yeah,
that.
so you have 4-year universities. So when you graduate from high school, you
Which
can
is
go
which is to what age? Sorry.
it's the same. So to year
16.
12.
So 16.
So your senior year of high school is your 12th year of schooling, and you're 17, 18 when you graduate.
Right.
And then usually you go straight into a 4-year college or a 4-year university, or there's community colleges, which are for people of all ages. And it's significantly cheaper
Right,
than going
yeah,
to a
yeah.
4-year university. I could be wrong. I didn't go for that long, so
Yeah.
I'm like, how does it work?
Because it always seemed to be the punchline. You watch American sitcoms, and someone, they're a community
Yeah.
college, and you go,
Yeah.
I guess that's fine.
I had a picture.
I don't
I had a
know.
picture of Schwarzenegger on my wall, a little black and white cutout of him at Santa Monica Community College.
Yeah.
Just before it all happened,
Okay.
just as a reminder that that's where it starts. And he's young. He's like 20 or something like
Yeah.
that. And he used to study at night time when everyone was going out raving. He'd go and study at this Santa Monica College, and it was just him on a desk, young-looking guy.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, that's good to remember that bit when you're
Yeah.
normal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good alternative for people who can't afford to go to a 4-year, or maybe didn't get in one, or are returning to education because for whatever reason they couldn't go.
So when you said college, I thought America, the college term was just us university.
We use both. I don't know
okay.
like
So
the
they're sort
names
of
of the.
interchangeable.
I don't know technically what the difference is, because people will be like going to college, going to university. People use university over here. You never hear anyone say college. I don't think.
Well, college for us, because ours is different.
That sixth form?
Yeah.
Which
because
I don't understand.
Yeah, because we have our compulsory education is till 16. And then that's GCSE, although I don't think it's called that anymore, or you have numbers or some shit. I don't know, whatever. So you go to 16, and then after that, it's you don't have to go. You can go into the workplace, or you can do whatever. But then you have college, which is 17 and 18. That's your A levels. But it's the thing that sixth form is usually where it's the school has its own college on top of it. So all sixth forms are colleges, not all colleges are sixth forms. So that's why it's always confusing when we watch American films. Because you can't even use people's ages, because you're like, well, these actors are all at 35, but they're playing 16-year-olds.
As is tradition.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
so why hire a teenager?
Yeah, exactly. To play a teenager, that'd be weird. So what was your, without being too personal, why did you choose community college? Was it just you wanted to be part-time, or?
No. So basically, I was a really good student until probably high school, and then just like was like, why would I do homework?
You was a good student until high school.
Until high school.
The education really started.
I was a really no. Honestly, it was like I would get into these honors classes and then like not do my homework, and my teachers would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm rebelling in the only way I can." So yeah, I mean, my family didn't have any money,
Right, okay.
and it just. And my parents didn't go to college either. So there wasn't like this, we did this, therefore you must do this. It just kind of didn't happen. And there wasn't ever like a big conversation about it. I just kind of knew what our financial situation was. I knew at the time I wasn't like trying super hard to get into a college, and there wasn't anyone kind of being like, you must study, you must do this, you must go. So it just kind of got to the point where I just graduated from high school and got my diploma and was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And at that point I was like, I don't really know. I did want to go into journalism. I did want to go to like Chico University or somewhere that had like a really good journalism program. But I didn't get into Chico because I had horrible grades, and that was the only school that I like applied to.
Is GED, is that when you finish school?
Earlier than getting your school diploma. Yeah. So it's the equivalent of getting a high school diploma.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So when did you have a few years of just sort of like jumping around from one thing to the next before you decided what you wanted to do?
No, so well, kind of. So after I graduated, after a couple of months, I just like got a job at a cafe. I was really good at it, to be fair.
Yeah. And
then the guy I was seeing at the time was going to community college, and he was like, well, you should sign up at the end of the winter semester or whatever and go. And I was like, well, I guess, I suppose. And so my plan was, because you can go to community college for 2 years, get the kind of credits that you need, and then transfer to a 4-year university to finish things off.
Oh.
Yeah.
But by the time I was maybe a year into going to school, I was working at Starbucks, and I was fucking great at working at Starbucks. Yeah. I was a coffee master. I was like the youngest shift supervisor that had become a coffee master. They wanted to put me into some like assistant
coffee master
management
is sorry, I thought that was just like a term you were like, I was the coffee master. It's
a real program. Yeah, you have to like study and get basic, like go through this whole like program, and then you get a black apron and it says coffee master.
Well,
yeah, I
it's
still
equivalent
have
to a
mine.
black belt.
Yeah, no, seriously.
The apron gets handed to you like that.
Yeah.
The old man walks out the door.
Yeah, no, and they honestly, they have a really, really fantastic management program. So I was like in this assistant management program to learn basically how to run my own store eventually.
Oh, right.
And I was like really into it. Like,
are they
really
franchises, Starbucks? Or is it
no, the franchise. Well, the franchises are like the ones that you see like in an airport.
Oh, the little
the smaller ones. Those are the franchise ones, at least in the States.
There was, when I was staying in the hotel recently, they had it was a Costa Coffee Quick or something like that, Costa Quick or something like that. And I thought, well, how slow's the shop? You're in there 10 seconds. Did I tell you I had an argument in the Costa?
No, but I can imagine it totally happening.
Right, but he's already taken the other person's side before he's heard anything.
That's weird.
Carry on.
So I don't usually go in them, but I went in them because
You don't usually go.
Is that what you said? You're like, I don't usually come in.
yeah, that's how it
That
started.
was your opening pitch.
But again, you're going to agree with. He always does. He always takes the capitalist side.
I know.
I went in there, normal person, right? Friendly, no
I know.
aggression,
Friendly?
nothing. I said, "Oh God, was it Costa? What's the blue one? I can't remember if it's Costa. What's the other
Well,
one?
Nero is
Caffe Nero?
Oh, I can't remember which one it was now. Anyway, Costa, I think it is. Yeah,
right.
festive.
Costa's red.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it was. Right. Anyway, so I said, "What drink do you want?" Okay. I said, "I'll have whatever it was, cappuccino, iced coffee. What size? Large." Okay. We don't do large. We're going to do small and medium. Okay, fine. Did it.
The biggest one then.
Yeah. So they're making it, and I went friendly as hell. I said, "Why do they call it like medium? It's obviously the large." And they said, "No, it's medium." The energy of the person straight away, I thought it's not like somebody you could just talk to. It's like maybe an area manager or something, because they just seem to slip into another professional, like a defensive mode. And I'm just going, ha ha ha. I went, yeah, but it's funny. It's like, it's not really a medium, is it? It's large. And they went, no, it's a medium thing now. That's what it's called. And I'm going,
Is that maybe that's why it's a quick one? They're like, you get two sizes. That's it.
what? I said,
I'm not agreeing
Wait,
with
is
that,
that
but
like-
I
So
understand
that's
your
not
point.
Costa policy. That's just like at this one
no,
place.
it was on the board. That's all they had. I looked up. That's the weird
You
thing.
do normally have. I'm sure you do normally have small.
So
regular
mate, it was on,
large.
and I've seen this since in other ones. So it must be the thing they do now. And so
Are they like fighting obesity?
I
with, like,
spoke to another person at another shop, and
Yeah.
they said it's because they think people will order more a larger one if it's called medium. They don't want to know they're getting large coffees every day. So I have to
Well,
carry
that's
that
hard.
with me for the rest of my life. That statement. But back into the shop, I'm saying, yeah, but I'm going like, it's funny, it's stupid. They shouldn't call it really. Like,
Maybe it's a cover up for the fact that allegedly mediums are the same as larges.
no, but that's what.
There was a video going
What I
around, whether
got
it was
was-
true or not, but it was about how someone was pouring a large into a medium and it fitted
Yeah.
perfectly because the medium was shorter but
Yeah.
wider.
I think
So
it's like a
they just went
chicken.
like they
It
went
works
back.
better for them to have more and more and more and more.
It's
But
like
anyway,
some weird psychological.
and I just said it to him. I said, mate, I'm not having to go. It doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered. I said, I'm just saying.
As
but
you shook him
technically-
by the collar.
No, but it's the attitude he took. It wasn't a human being I was talking to. I said,
No,
you can't
no.
have a medium unless there is a large. You can say I haven't got large, but here's a medium. You can't.
Yeah,
it's like
once
saying
you
I'm
get-
going
if
to
you've
run a
only got two,
marathon. The
you've
marathon's
got-
1
you've got-
mile. I'm
Yeah.
only doing half of it.
Yeah.
But how far are you going? A mile? We're doing the whole thing. No, but it's half of it. No, but that's the length of the thing. You can't have half of it.
because medium by definition
Doesn't
is in
make
the middle,
sense.
is in the middle of
Yeah,
other,
so I
two
said
other
it's just
things.
a large. He went, no, but it's. I'm thinking this is ridiculous. Why am I getting involved in this conversation? Like you should.
I don't know.
and then
It's-
that's why he threw his coffee in his face.
But it's
Yeah,
like trying to
exactly.
defend Trump. You just go, mate, just say, look, to be honest, I understand what you're saying. It's just, I've got to say this to you. Anyway, what would you like? But don't defend it. That's mental. A medium. Like, that's on a shop, in a chain shop. That's a medium. We haven't got a large. It's not a medium then. You've got small and large. You're just calling it something else. And I'm in the right there.
No, to be fair, you are
That's fair.
actually.
You
It
are.
happened. Ring the gong, everyone.
And when the other guy in
it
the
was
shop,
actually
he said
right.
it's because they don't want to, people won't order as much
Yeah.
if they call it large. I'm thinking, I'm in a world of children. Like, I want to get off the train. I'm going to go to another planet. I don't know. I'm just going to go over there.
You and Elon Musk are going to go
But it's
live on
things
Mars.
like that just chip away at you.
What a
like the
world.
stupidity. You just, it's
Sorry.
I shouldn't remind myself of it because it's like the injustice of stupidity you've got to put up
You
with.
can never go back there.
Because I remember always come back to when I was putting the magazine together and all that, and you're doing anything off your back, people going, why is that? Why is this? And I
Yeah.
think, well, how do these other things start? Like, well, who started? Right, I've got a coffee shop. Oh, well, guess what? I've implemented this thing. We're going to call it medium. There should have been somebody else in that room that went,
No.
what? What are you on about? So it's got past a load of people. Unless it's
Yeah.
like a Trump thing where they just said, just don't say anything. Just let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's just like some crazy ass.
Because you can have one idiot, but
He's
how
like,
have
we're
you
just gonna have small and medium.
Yeah, and nobody
and they're
said,
like, great, sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right
because
away,
it's
we'll
the
implement
ones
it.
when people are too powerful, isn't it? You can't say no to them because
Yeah.
otherwise you're out the room.
I love that we're vilifying the guy at Costa.
I
to
don't know
make
if it's
this decision.
Costa. I think it might. Whatever chain is now doing medium.
Yeah, he's just
small.
like, for fuck's sake, it says on the board.
But I'm putting it down to that guy because the other guy at the other shop said, mate, it's just because they think
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. And I thought, well, that's fair enough. There you go. That's
What
a
do you
normal
mean at the other
conversation.
shop? So you brought this up at another shop
Yeah, I wanted
when you
to
went back
see.
another
I wanted
time?
to see if it was just in there. I went into another one.
Are you
I like
going
to
to go
test.
into
That's the
every
real
Costa?
crux of this
No,
story.
because
is
I
that he
thought
went back to
maybe the
investigate.
sign fell off, or I didn't see. Or, like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the other person all the time. Like I'm in the wrong here. It can't be that stupid. I went in the other one. It's still missing.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
I know.
I mean, you joke, but I've thought about this a lot. Like,
No,
it annoys
I
me.
don't doubt
really
it.
clear.
But it's so bad. It's like a little thing, but it's like mental.
Yeah.
Like it is slightly going into idiocracy. The film, I keep saying it again. We're slipping into like I'm walking around in a sitcom, like the stupidity levels. Oh, where do we go off? We come off the rails again.
I
don't even know how we got to. Oh,
We
because
were
you were
talking
working in
about coffee,
Starbucks.
yeah.
Because you were the
Where
the
there's
coffee master.
inexplicably
Yeah.
named sizes.
Oh, 'cause they're
there as well,
grande.
'cause
Yeah,
they're
grande isn't the biggest
So
one.
Italian.
What year was it? You working in Starbucks?
2004.
What were the
through
imagine? Oh, it was a
2006.
while ago now. I was going to say, what was it like to work at as a company? They're all right.
I
tribute.
really liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the company
2004
was good. I mean, like I was on a good salary. I would get a bonus. I had health coverage, and they like extended health coverage to domestic partners at the time, which was like a big deal, which wasn't happening in a lot of other companies. So I really enjoyed working there, and I had a great, management training and everything. It was the customers
Oh yeah, that's
that
always
were
the
a
way.
completely
Where-
different story.
I'm not going to go off my story again. Let's talk about that
Yeah.
shop over the road. So you worked in Costa.
He can't let it
the
go. He's
rain.
like, I don't want to talk about it, but I do.
I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm actually annoyed. I felt my adrenaline going again.
Yeah.
So you left Starbucks. Then where did you go?
I moved here.
Oh, sure. From then. Okay.
Yeah, and
Why did you move?
I met a boy on MySpace.
Oh, MySpace.
Yeah.
Are they still around?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
That wasn't a dating site, was it? It was a
No.
music site.
It's always
It was
social media.
yeah, it was just like
I think
people
now it's
being
predominantly
friends.
just
yeah,
music,
it
isn't
switched.
Yeah,
It
but
switched
used
to
be.
being more music focused, and I think Justin Timberlake had a
Yeah,
he
bought
like
a load of-
invested or he
yeah.
like bought a whole bunch of I don't know.
Like,
Good move,
They tried to bring.
JT.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. It was like, didn't you play in the film where you were the guy that who owned Napster
Yeah,
and that got
yeah.
fucked,
Yeah.
and then you went to
Fuck.
Facebook, and it was like, but you didn't pay attention to the own film you were in, where
Yeah.
Facebook completely wipes out my.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah. It was like,
Yeah.
I only read my scenes.
So was he's English?
Yeah.
And so he was living here.
Yeah.
And did you come for holiday a few times before you moved?
We met once before.
Wow.
So I came, like, we talked online for like 3 or 4 months. I had a friend that was going to school in Liverpool. And so I had already booked a ticket to come visit her.
Oh, okay.
And then started talking to him in the meantime. Fell in love.
So you were one of the original internet datings?
Yeah.
Like, that's old school.
Yeah.
Oh,
At the time, it was like not cool because
Yeah.
MySpace wasn't cool.
Oh,
but
right.
now it sounds like vintage or something. And people are like, oh, that's cute. It's not even an app.
Here's our
And
old
I'm like, I
pictures
love
of
it.
our internet dating on the...
No, seriously, yeah. We were like in the paper. I just found it yesterday. We were like in the Telegraph or something because someone was like, I need
Right.
people to write about that met on the internet because it was like, ooh.
So you don't hear about somebody who's just met? It's always on the internet.
No, not always.
No? I was just thinking, oh, no, we've got someone in this room that's, yeah.
Our
Everyone
producer.
else, is, yeah. It's like,
Sounds like we're being monitored by sinister people, by the people from Costa are watching us.
all right, let's get off of that
It
subject.
Anyway.
might be. You're going to
Yeah,
get some stern emails.
But we do like the Costa coffees if you want to send us a few.
Yeah, we'll take it anyway.
If
He'll,
it
he'll
was
take
there,
those
more or
mediums
less. Oh,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
willing to give
Or
them.
it might be from Nero. Yeah, Costa. Let's send them some copies over.
As long as you have reasonable sizes, you'll drink it.
They are nice drinks.
Yeah.
Well, it's got me out of a
Coffee,
legal
yeah.
situation.
So you're against fascism and you're pro coffee. That's what we've done.
No, I'm not.
In all
I'm not pro
sizes.
coffee. I'm actually against coffee.
Oh.
Funny enough.
Okay.
Doesn't sound it. It just sounds like you're against baristas.
No, I'm not 100% for it.
Right.
'Cause I
He's
think
against illogical sizes.
any high, I'm against. No, I'm not. Oh,
Any
that's
what?
not- yeah.
Anyway, so you moved over here, and but that's,
I did.
That's quite a
Yeah.
big move. Like that's quite bold and quite sort of.
How long did you know him for before you moved here? Months or
Very
years?
About 7 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
And
fine.
you
But
moved
On
in-
paper, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if I had known me, I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, see you in a
Yeah.
couple weeks.
And you
when
moved
he'd-
in
like,
with
or maybe
him?
he'll kill you. Who knows?
You moved in with him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it was
Yeah.
all right, straight. Yeah.
Fine. Got
but
married.
also bold on
to-
him, like
Yeah.
to be like, hey, this American girl's going to
Yeah.
come over and live with
What does
my
he do?
house. You know.
What job does
He
do
works
now?
in tech. He works at Just Eat.
Actually, Just Eat ain't bad. Quite a good company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does he do? Or just
Yeah,
tech
he's
stuff?
he's a tech manager by trade. He was a developer when we met, so he worked in e-commerce
see.
and he like built like the first Papa John's website and the first Reese website.
Oh, okay.
So, you know.
And how long have you been together?
We've been together for, I'm always really bad at remembering, 14 years? I think we've been together for 14 years now.
Wow, blimey.
You look quite young. You're saying all these
I
things
got
like
married.
2004.
I got married when I was 21.
Oh, God, it's risky, isn't it? 21, you don't really know.
I mean, so many of it is so risky. Like my
Yeah.
The
whole,
whole
like our
thing,
whole
yeah.
thing
Yeah, I
on
suppose,
paper
yeah.
just sounds completely bonkers. Like,
And have you
Yeah.
lived together since? There's not
Yeah.
like a breakup of 4 years.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
we're
good,
really like
that's
we're
good.
genuinely really happy.
Like an old school relationship. You've
Yeah,
got stuck
it's quite
through.
nice this. Though.
You know, like a lot of it was when we first met. We spent a lot of time talking on the phone. We spent a lot of time emailing back and forth and properly getting to know each
Skype,
other.
No Skype at the time.
Skype had just come out, so like he got a phone number local to where I lived, so that he could, or that I could call something where I could call that number and
£10
it
a
wouldn't
minute at the
cost me. Well, it wouldn't cost me a lot of money
Right,
because
yeah.
what I didn't know is that if someone calls you, I just went way over my limit on my own
Oh, they charge
mobile
you.
phone. I had like a $900 bill once. Yeah, it was bad, but worth it. So yeah.
I
we
got called
just
into
got
the
to
office
know.
once of one of the jobs I had when I started in the magazine because they gave me did the stupidity of giving me a company phone, and the guy called me and he said, "Your bill for your phone was higher than the managing director's," and I was like, and I was only like a removal man.
You're like, sorry, I just had a lot of calls.
Yeah, but they're all from
Doing a
America.
lot of
they're all
business,
from
sorry.
America. Funny enough, so thanks somebody in America. I thought, wow, 1 minute here, 2 minutes here. Before you know
adds up.
Yeah, you figure, oh, nobody's
That's the
noticing.
same
I didn't know they were
feeling
getting the
that
bill
is.
like every 3 months.
Yeah.
No, so that's good. That's a good relationship story. I like that.
Yeah.
And have you lived in UK since then?
Like
yeah.
continuous.
So I moved here in 2006, April 2006, and been here ever since.
And do you both go back to America very often?
We go back like once a year and visit family.
I mean, I can get to the media stuff, but that's quite what you've done there is quite good. So, relationship-wise, what's your tips? Your hot
My
tips?
relationship.
No, that's not a little thing that you've done.
No.
So, what came and went? Problems? What? Because I always say a relationship isn't a relationship till you hit problems. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's dating. Then it's because you date because that's what people do. We spoke about this. They date until something goes wrong or it's not perfect,
And then they
and
go.
disappear. So it was never a relationship. Relationships like somebody got to go away or
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't do a heck of a lot of dating.
right. So
So I mean, if we ever
I mean, do you go on a
divorced,
lot
I'd
of
be like,
holidays together? Do you have shared similar interests? Do you not have similar interests?
yeah, no, we I think the biggest piece of advice is really unsexy, but it's just, talk. Like actual proper communication.
Yeah.
And and accepting the fact that if you're going to be with somebody and you want to be with somebody for a long time, it's easier. I mean, working through like a honeymoon period and being happy, it's when things get tough, like you said, when you have an argument or there's a misunderstanding, it's learning how to talk about how you're actually feeling.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've been together for so long, and things have always been really great between us. It's just it's like when you kind of look back and you go, "Oh, this was a really stressful time. How did we kind of get through that?" I think a lot of it is just talking, and yeah, I've been in therapy for like 5 years now, psychotherapy, very into it, love talking about it. And that's been really useful for me because it means that I understand more about what I'm feeling, and learning how to articulate that has been super helpful for our relationship.
What is psychotherapy?
Psychotherapy, it's what they call talk therapy. So if you know, like Freud, it's a lot of the
Translations of what's in your head.
it's a lot about the subconscious. This isn't like how you talk in psychotherapy, but the kind of theory behind it is like what Freud was all about. So
Do you think your partner should be your best friend or not? Do you think you should have another best friend?
I think that it really depends on the couple. So we have complementary interests. We don't always like all of the same stuff. I think it's important that you have more things in common than you don't have in common, if that makes sense. So, we, like, my husband loves to ski. He's a really good skier. I am adequate. I think I'm probably a good skier, but I don't enjoy it because I'm afraid of dying.
Right. Yeah, that's my thing. Why do something that's so risky?
Right. So I'm constantly just like at the end of the day, we're like in the bar and he's like, that was great. And I'm just like so thankful that I'm alive.
Got through it.
I'm just like, I made it through one day. 5 more to go. But, you know, so that's something that we compromise on and that we go once a year and he loves it and I work through it and I do have fun. So
where do you go?
Our favorite place, it's so wanky to say, but I love going to Val d'Isère.
So where's this?
France.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful. But I like to ski in the States the best in
the
Lake
States?
Tahoe. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lake Tahoe. So what area is that?
Northern California.
There's a lot of snow there, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's the Sierra Nevada mountain range on the
right.
east border of California.
Oh, how often do you go back to the States?
Like once a year.
Every year.
Once a year.
Do you stay for like months or weeks or? No.
A couple weeks.
Dip your toe in, get the accent back. And come back.
I go, hey. Yeah, no, it's nice to go back and obviously seeing my family and everything, but I don't want to live there.
Do you find it's weird going back? Because obviously America, because you've gone through in America, obviously you had W. Bush when you left.
Yes.
Just
he was
about,
president
I
when
think,
I left. Yeah.
And then you had Obama.
Yeah.
And then now you've got the other guy.
Yeah.
And so just seeing the difference, because it's almost...
Well, I'm a big Trump supporter. I'm kidding.
Yes.
Even just saying that, I was like, no, I can't.
You couldn't even hold on to that.
I couldn't even hold on to it. I'm not, obviously. Yeah, it's been interesting, and it's been really interesting.
Not to maybe to be too devil's advocate. Why not? Obviously, why would you say not? Obviously, sorry. Why would you say obviously
that's
not?
Right. Why would you? Why would you?
I'm asking as devil's advocate.
Sort of the racism and things like that.
My answers earlier in the conversation might have. I don't know. Yeah, it's not an obvious thing, and I don't want to vilify people who are. I think that there's too much of that, but then also. It's just a really complicated thing, and you have the same thing over here with Brexit. You have vilifying people on either side, and there's no space for real conversations, and it's just so volatile and just like rife with emotions, and people get very upset very quickly, and I think there's this pressure on everyone to be like political experts and be able to perfectly articulate why they feel a certain way. And a lot of times we don't know why we feel a certain way or why we think this thing or this policy is best. And I think it's having those conversations and being able to unpick kind of what's behind those is what leads to more empathy and understanding of other viewpoints. But that doesn't make good TV.
No.
That doesn't make good radio shows. So that's not really part of the discourse at the moment.
I think we should all, in a proper state, we should all get rid of different news channels and you just got one and then it's all on there. But
then would you then, I mean, well, we do have a journalist here as well. So will we not then lose different points of view?
Yeah.
No, but you have them on the one show. What I'm saying is if you can only go to there and you can only go to there, like you stay there, that's the problem. No,
I don't think the problem is that you have too many.
Because it's like really, Trump votes, that's lack of information. That's all it is, mixed up with other stuff that exploits your insecurities.
I think a lot of it is with the same way. I think I think some people who voted to leave the EU didn't have all the right information. But when we say they didn't have the right information, it's because they were fucking lied to. And Trump supporters were fucking lied to as well.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If you just go to Fox News...
Yeah,
you don't switch over. You're not forced to watch anything.
Yeah,
I'm saying you just had the one place that had everything on there.
I don't think the answer is getting rid of.
But you're trying to avoid the echo chamber effect.
I want you not to be able to go to your own hole and stay there. At least when they did have what was his name? Who's the guy that left Fox recently?
Oh, Shepard.
Shep Smith.
Shepard Smith.
Shep Smith.
Is that someone else? But I know the guy
that left. He was the only one of the decent voices.
Yeah, there was
a
decent guy.
So it was
this
a bit
is that,
healthy.
that guy. Yeah,
and now he's left. It's just a wall of people.
And even then, it was just kind of like, okay, we have this one guy who just like says something like he seems super decent because he just has like one common sense thing.
But the fact they got rid of him to just be completely black and white, we are just this now. We just surely you want to keep some ambiguity just to sort of make us believe a little bit that you're sort of
I think a lot of it is I don't know. I think social media plays a huge part in that, and the regulation and the misinformation that's out there, and the fact that you have other countries' funding of these sites and followers to help confuse and muddle things. And the fact that Facebook seems to have been extremely weak on this and continues to be is just like...
Yeah, because is it Twitter and Instagram have stopped... no, not Instagram. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Yeah, because Instagram is Facebook, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
But I suppose they don't really do political ads on Instagram. I've never seen political
I
ads
don't
on
think I've...
Instagram. It's all just
I don't think I've seen
weight loss gummies or something, isn't it? It
We
seems
brought up Trump again. Not just really every podcast.
I mean, it's almost like he's one of the most powerful people in the world.
Have you been watching the impeachment trial?
Yeah, slightly.
Because
it's the only thing is the saddest thing is that I suppose it's a good thing. He's highlighted. He brought out of the poison that was in it originally to show they are all just actors.
It had to happen, I think, because if you had Hillary in, you would. I mean, there would be this huge misogynistic backlash, even worse than she already had. But then all these people could kind of continue to kind of fester and get angrier and angrier because they're not being listened to, they're being disenfranchised, yada, yada. And I think now that's kind of just all been brought to the surface, and I think that's what's happening here.
You just hope
he's drained the swamp, but maybe not in the way he was thinking.
He took the swamp with him.
He just was like brought it with him and then just like let it go crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like getting a cure, isn't it? You poison it.
That's what I mean. I'm hoping it's that. As long as he leaves office and you go...
I don't think he will.
I've said it, I don't think he will. I don't think he can. Because of what will be the backlash. Knowing people like that, his mindset will do anything.
Yeah, I think they're really going to struggle to... Because I don't actually know how the impeachment process works. And just watching the trial, the 2 days that they've done so far, it is so divided. And and you have things that are very obvious. Think that, like, it's black and white. This is the transcript. This is what he said. Yeah. These are the witnesses who are saying what happened. This is the ambassador that he fired because she got in his way of whatever crap bullshit he wanted to implement. And you have Republicans going... Yes, but we need to know who the whistleblower is, and we need to know this, and completely kind of derailing the conversation. I don't know how they'll ever.
They're not even following. They're saying, I'm not even going to look at the content because this is rubbish from the start. I mean, how do you fight against that? So all he has to do is before he leaves Bob's say, I don't believe this is all a sham. It's all a sham.
But that's kind of, I would say, part of how he won and has maintained power because you just say, no, this is bollocks.
Yeah.
You go, but here in this document here, and they go, the document's fake.
Well, that's
but
what
it isn't.
That's what I don't like about the Democrats.
It's the flat earth. It's almost the flat earth.
That's the scary thing to me is that, and you have it with Boris Johnson as well. He can literally illegally prorogue Parliament, have 11 Supreme Court justices say, yes, this was unlawful, and nothing fucking happens.
Yeah.
He doesn't even apologize or acknowledge it. He'll lose vote after vote, and he keeps just going, everything is fine. And there's no sort of acknowledgement or... Like, and this is what drives me nuts about all of the different news outlets at the moment is that I don't feel like any of them are actually really calling bullshit on what's happening or saying, no, you're lying. Yeah. This is what actually happened. I forget who it was. There was some summit recently where someone very, very high up in television was saying, we must call lying. Yeah. We have to call out these politicians.
Was it Andrew Neil?
It was a woman. I can't remember her name. But she was saying, like, we must say to the, like, you're lying. Because that's not, they're like, misinformation. And this is like, no. When a politician is lying to your face, why don't we just say, call it what it actually is? They're lying.
That's what's been, I think, has been a misstep with the fake news, particularly with satire, has kind of latched onto fake news. Now you're normalising lies.
Yeah.
You know,
part of the
let's
thing
stop saying fake news, fake news, joke. Let's say he lied.
Yeah, just make a point of just keep repeating the fact that they're lying again. Here they go, another lie, and lie. And don't get... It's like when they're saying quid pro quo, and somebody said, why not just call it bribery? Just why are you making it all ambiguous?
Yeah, and again, in the impeachment trial, like, you have this over-reliance on quid pro quo, and then when the Democrats call it bribery, they're like, oh, it's not that.
But the problem is, on the other side, they're not perfect either. So they never really want to push it too much because you know that it sort of applies to us. So you do need an outsider to go, your children, we're being run by children who are actors and they move with the wind depending on what's best for them at the time. That's what was this.
But it's the same with, we talk about Russia and we say, oh, it's corrupt, it's this and that. And Putin can go, excuse me? Look at you.
Yeah.
Look what you've done. Your
But that was the
Well,
plan.
and I think that that's part of the point.
But exactly.
right?
But that's how
But
that's
it's
how
funny
he's
to have a
winning,
country
in
that
inverted
hasn't
commas.
really got. I mean, it's got a bit of money, but it's they've been their bark's a lot bigger than their bite.
Who's that? Sorry.
Russia. Their thing is make everybody else in other countries look bad, so we look bigger because we haven't really got a lot. We're mostly open space. But all he needed was the right person to manipulate, and he got somebody that's insecure and easy to manipulate to do all his work for. So let's go off with Trump. We've had a Trump special. I'm trumped out.
So you came here and then
Yeah, I
And
love
you've
that
got-
transition.
I was going to say
Enough
that.
of
It went right back down
And
the
then
slide.
back
Exactly,
to
yeah.
your life.
Exactly.
So first media job
First media job
or media anything related.
was working at a company called Shiny Media, which was the first blog publishing company in the UK. And
Which is mad to think like there was the first blog publishing
Shiny
company.
media. Shiny
Yeah.
brand new.
yeah. No, it was kind of like, I think they initially kind of started out to be like the UK version of Gawker Media.
And what were you doing in there?
I was editing a women's website called Dolly Mix. We talked about women's issues. And yeah, I was editor there. Cause when I first moved, I couldn't work for like the first 6 months. So I started a blog, and that actually gained a lot of popularity. It was on, Vox before Vox is what it is now. It was a completely other company. It was like basically like Blogger.
Yeah.
So blogging community. So they liked my blog there. They approached me to edit this website. So I wrote for them. They had like a lady tech blog and then a fashion blog. I just would like write about I'm like, oh, write about that. Okay, cool.
The new iPad is pink.
Honestly, we did a lot of slagging off of that stuff.
Yeah, good.
But yeah.
Because I was like, oh no, Dolly Mix, women's, is this a bit
No,
of a throwback?
so
then?
Dolly Mix was very like, it was very feminist, and then the tech website was just kind of like fuck pink gadgets, but then also we'll review them, double bind.
We'll slag Costa off, but we'll get some free ones.
Yeah, so I was there for like a year and a half, I think, and then I started my own website called Bitch Buzz, which was a women's online magazine, feminist, and it just kind of talked about everything because I was tired of working for websites where I was like, we only talk about shoes, we only do this, we only do that, and I was like, we can care about multiple things at once, so let's just kind of address that and have it all under, it was meant to all be, feminist, no bullshit.
Why the name Bitch Buzz?
I really liked it.
I mean, yeah, it's not. Sorry, that sounded more challenging than I meant it because it's a cool name.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I was just trying to.
And it sounds like she would fight crime.
So what were you like,
Right?
early 20s?
I was 23.
I was going to say, more reflexy rage.
Yeah. It was a. I don't know. I think that name just kind of like came
popped
to
in
me,
your head, yeah.
and then Buzz obviously then showed up in like every website.
Yeah, because I was
for a
curious
long
again,
time.
looking at it. I was like, oh, so you work for BuzzFeed and then Bitch Buzz, but it was like Buzz related,
Yeah. I joked that my next job would be Bitch Feed, and it would be a website about food for female dogs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested.
And then what came on from there?
So I was at Bitch Buzz for about 4.5 years, and while I was running that, I was doing anything that anyone asked me to do, basically.
Yeah, because without being sort of too personal, too gross, perhaps. Did that pay? Did Bitch Buzz pay in terms of like?
Did you
Girl,
float the company?
It made a very tiny amount of money
From advertising or
from advertising, which again was just like, and like whatever, and like back then, so this is like 2008, people were not like native advertising wasn't really a thing that people, it was all display. There was networks like Glam Network that you would get paid a pittance it only worked if you had millions and millions of page views. We didn't have millions and millions of pages. We had, good enough traffic, but we weren't going to be making that.
And who's we? So it wasn't just you on Bitch Buzz.
It was me, and my husband did all the tech side of it, so building it, and then I had like 20 writers at any given time, kind of based internationally, and we were always very transparent of like, we can't pay because it barely makes any money anyway. But the nice thing is that so many people that wrote from my website went on to, it was like kind of like a lot of their first writing jobs.
Yeah.
And it meant that they went on and worked at BuzzFeed or big agencies, and I've got so many nice messages like years later, people being like, thank you so much for that opportunity. It really helped me, gain experience with X, and now I'm here, and really, thank you. And that's so nice because like that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be sort of like a platform where people could kind of get a leg up, have like their first go at writing online. So it was ultimately it didn't really make a lot of money, and that was why we eventually shut it down. But it's a good thing for
your CV more than anything.
Yeah, and I learned a fuck ton. I learned so much. I learned how to put together a business proposal, and we pitched for funding at one point because we like Dennis Publishing had like some sort of thing where they had a whole bunch of money, and they were like, okay, we want to invest in different websites. What you're doing is really interesting. We didn't end up getting the funding, but it was a really good process to be.
One of the guys from Dennis Publishing was somebody that helped me with the magazine. There's like 5 people in publishing companies, and one of them's from what was the guy's name? Dennis Frank. Oh, it's the guy that owned the company. He died.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "It's one of the best things I ever got told." Like this when this guy was helping me, because I was still really insecure about having lived on the streets and that sort of stuff. And the guy that I met from Dennis Publishing, he would meet me and say, "Look, do this, do that, blah blah blah." And the best thing he ever told me, he said, the guy that founded the company, Dennis, whatever, and he sold it for like 800 million. He said he lived on the streets for a bit, and I thought, just felt the pressure, like the shame of. I thought, oh, great. And I said to him, "Can I meet him?" And he said he died like 2 months before. And I remember where I was. I was outside my flat at night, sat in the car when I got the text, and he said, "Oh, he died a couple of months ago." And I felt so alone. I actually felt like a bit tearful, even though I hadn't met him, because I thought I wanted to look in somebody else's eyes that would know exactly what I'm going through and wouldn't be the shame and the thing that had gone through it. And I thought, I'm never going to get to see anybody's eyes and go, look, I'm back you then, and I can't explain this to anybody. But yeah, I always like that company now. Them, Haymarket, Time Out, the ones that just helped me out. So how long would you went for them for an application for funding? Did you?
Yeah, I think they had something like £1 million, and they wanted to invest in like 5 different websites, smaller blogs, that sort of thing. So yeah.
So what happened? What did you go into after that then?
So I made the decision to shut it down, because it just kind of got to the point where I was like, this isn't really making any money. I feel like I've kind of got everything out of it that I need to, and also the market changed massively. So by 2012, 2013, there were a ton of women's websites that were all very like sassy, feminist, and it was a very saturated market. Where when we started, it was like us and Jezebel and a handful of kind of more academic feminist websites. Yeah. So I went to MSN. I was like, I need to go and be an employee and make some actual money. And so, I started at MSN, and that lasted 5 months. And then they, about...
What happened there?
Oh my God, they did a classic tech company reorganization where they were like, cool, so we have this global thing that we hired you to help launch. Yeah. And 2 weeks before we were meant to launch in the UK, they were like, we're not going to do that anymore.
Oh, geez.
And then got rid of everyone that they had hired so many people around the world.
What was the thing?
It was called MSN Now. It was basically like their version of BuzzFeed.
Right.
And
I think I vaguely remember hearing of MSN Now.
Yeah. So I was like a global coordinating editor, and I was going to help launch it across EMEA and in the UK. And literally weeks ahead of the launch, they pulled the plug. Yeah,
that seems like they went either over budget or someone new came in senior, and they're like, I need to be making a gutsy decision to justify all these zeros on my salary, so I'll cancel this thing.
The guy that they brought in was from Search, I believe, so with Bing, and was like, original content, let's just do syndicated.
Well, I mean, if you work for Bing, you're definitely going to have some great ideas.
Yeah, so that was cool, but that was how I ended up going to BuzzFeed.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like, need a job, and was like, what the fuck do I do? And then I was
almost seems like that's quite a nice. Yeah. That's
worked out well.
Yeah,
it did.
Exactly,
no, I think when you lose your job, it's really, really scary, but then also a good opportunity to kind of reassess, and it always works out.
Oh, good. I'm going to take note of this.
Yeah, let's all quit and run into the street.
No, I've just been made redundant.
No, don't do that. Yeah. Redundancy is no joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard. It's a really hard thing for your ego. It's a really hard thing financially. Hopefully, I don't know what happened, but hopefully you got a good enough little package.
It was better than smacking them out of, but not by much.
Yeah, I mean, with the company I was at before earlier this year, that went under, so I didn't get anything.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, they have looked after. I can't.
So you
That's
class
good.
yourself now as a freelance editorial.
Yeah. So I struggle with this now. So I
Right.
met someone the other day who was like, "So what do you do?" And I was like, freelance writer and consultant.
Yeah, we did have this. Just as a disclaimer, we did have a conversation as you walked in of like, well, how do we explain
is
what
she?
you do? Editorial journalist. We're going to go with journalism. Would that have been a journalist?
Yeah. So I'm writing a book. And so I hope in the future, when this is published, I can just be like, I'm a writer and author, writer, and then like.
How far into the book are you? Enough that you can talk about it?
No, this is the annoying thing. Is I would love to be able to talk
Fiction
about
or
it, but it
nonfiction?
hasn't nonfiction.
Okay.
I have a publisher. She's not been officially announced yet, so I
Okay,
can't talk
yeah, no,
about
that's
it.
fair
Isn't it
So-
funny to have a title to call something not something else, like non-fiction? Like if I was driving a Mercedes,
Yeah, I
and
suppose
said,
it's
what car have you got? I
because-
I haven't got a BM.
But it's because it's how it's evolved, isn't it? And also things were
But
written.
why? That doesn't make any sense. Are you
Yeah,
in
it
charge
does.
of that?
It's classifying.
I'm writing a book. What's it about? It's not a biography. What is it? It's a biography. Why did you say that? Why say
Well,
not?
it's-
Well, I don't think people say non-biography.
It's a good way of kind of. It's vague. It's like a huge bucket. There's so many different kinds of books. So then it's like that's the biggest sort of.
Yeah, but there should be a
separator.
word. Why is there a missing word in the English language for that? I should create one actually. I'm going to
Do
do
it.
that. But it's childish. It's not there.
Yeah, but
it's like the
but
Emperor's
it's-
New Clothes.
it's the
Why
way
don't you put a
the-
word in there?
Yeah, but it's a bit like we say ineffable, but no one ever says effable.
Oh,
think
do you
they
mean the
talked
fact
about-
that there's not a word for nonfiction books?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, it is literally.
I thought
what
you were like,
card
why
you-
are they nonfiction and fiction?
Oh,
I was
I
like,
didn't
but
mean
that because
yeah.
it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't mean why the industry there. That
The
is
book,
saying
yeah,
what car do you
that's the name
drive.
of it.
I
Oh.
don't drive a
Or
BMW.
I
drive
suppose
a
there's
car
a bit
that's
like
not a BMW.
depressants or antidepressants.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of there's a
Or
word to be created.
anti-disestablishmentarianism, and no one ever says disestablishmentarianism.
I'm going to come up
do
with a
they?
word, and I'm going to just.
I'm
uniformly
having
use
fun.
it.
I don't know if anyone else.
I'm just going to use that, and over time it catches on because people need
Yeah,
that.
fine.
I think I was reading. I keep saying reading, listening to Stephen Fry's autobiography,
Right, yeah.
and in that he said they came up with an bloody hell, I can't remember what it was. There was a filter that's used on a microphone. I can't remember the name of it.
Right.
And he
Oh,
said
yeah.
they said the guy kept saying the filter on the microphone or whatever it was. I can't remember. It's like 5 years ago now. And he said, me and my friend just started using that word in the shop, asking for it, and then explaining what it was. And he said years later we went in there and he had on sale with a sign with the word that they'd used to describe that thing. So yeah, that's what happens, mate. That somebody's got to go first. So I'm going to come up with a word that works, that means those type of books.
Right.
It's Emperor's New Clothes, mate. Everyone's against me, and it's glaringly obvious.
I don't. This is the
Right, okay.
smallest,
If you ever
strangest
ask me,
hill
if you ever
upon
ask-
which to die.
If you ever ask me anything, I'm going to say something that's not the thing I'm having. What's that drink? That's not tea.
Yeah, but that's because that doesn't narrow it down enough. That's only
No, but I'm
dividing it
playing.
into two categories.
It's being silly, but it's
Fiction and
literally
nonfiction.
that. And
Yeah.
everyone's going, well, it's too big. You can't change that. It's too big. And everyone uses that. Well, I'm going to let it start doing it. And then
All right.
I'm not going to say, why did you say something so stupid as non-fiction? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does because do you understand what it means?
no.
If you do understand, what
I
it
need a
means.
word.
Right.
I'm going to look it up.
No, but as in, if I said to you a non-fiction book,
It's
you would
made
know
up
what a
or not
non-fiction-
made up.
Yeah.
But it's just simpler. Why we do, like?
It's
How
not-
can you think I'm in the wrong there? That's obvious that needs a word. What
No, I
book?
think we agreed with you to
Religion?
begin with, and then it unraveled.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
stop, let's stop there.
That's-
I thought it
that's-
was the opposite. I thought you didn't agree with me. Now you did.
You're fitting right in. It starts off to make sense and unravel.
No, the opposite.
So you, I'm getting us back on track. I'm whacking us back into.
Yeah.
So when you went blah, 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 Bitch Buzz, MSN now, but MSN
Then-
now didn't happen. As it were.
MSN never, and then
MSN never. Like, then BuzzFeed,
BuzzFeed,
Yeah.
and I was there for almost 3 years.
and what was your role there?
Homepage editor, and
Oh,
then,
yes, that's
and then
right, that's
managing editor.
So as editorial consultant, editorial of anything, so it could be
Mm-hmm.
print, online, journal.
I can't really consult on print because I've never really worked in
Oh, I
print.
thought I saw something
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So content.
Yeah.
And what would do you in your role? Do you have a specialism, or are you because you're an editorial that's looking at everything? isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, the stuff that I think I'm the best at. There's kind of the two sides of it. There's the writing side of it, looking at what should this website or publication actually be focusing on? And then there's kind of the actual running and hiring of a team. So kind of what I'm doing now in the very broad term of editorial consultant. So on one hand, I'll do things like working with agencies to put together tone of voice documents for a pitch and go with them and help pitch and work with them on their content strategy. So there's kind of that side of it. Or it's working with companies who are like, okay, well, what is our content offering? What does this look like? How can we make this better? Can you look at our newsletter? Is this crap? Like, no one's reading it. What should we be doing? And then I'll work with people like Change Inc. From Vice on working basically as like a commissioning editor and working on series of articles and commissioning those in for them. So, it literally can mean so many different things. And that's part of the reason why.
What do you think in
like
terms of content generally? Do you think it's, because I'm always thinking that I want to just create my own content and I don't really care I'm just creating what I think's needed. But then I keep getting pulled back to what people want all the time. They keep asking me, but what do people this? What age range? What this and that? And I have to say, I'm not really bothered. I'm just doing what I'm doing.
So you're not. You don't know what you haven't. You're not targeting a demographic.
Yeah, and they want you to keep pulling back to what is the thing of the thing. And you go, I don't care. I'm just doing it because I like doing it. That's the thing. So, but that feels like the right way to me. But this constantly trying to pull away from what you want to what other people currently want. You go, but don't you just want to lead? But they don't want none of that. They always want you to go with what everyone else is slightly doing. So where do you fall down on that? Of like sort of.
It depends on what the product is and what's the point of it, and if who's involved and how are you going to make money. So I think if you just want to write whatever it is that you want to write and do whatever it is that you want to do, you can go to Medium and set something up, and then you can just write whatever you want to write and just kind of put out into the world what you think should be put out. But if you are expecting people to pay for something or to get enough traffic to warrant sponsorships.
See, that's the blurry bit I don't like, when you start having to go, well, if you want it to be a business, you've got to sort of...
You do.
But then you lose the edge of what it is you're saying, because you've got to sort of go to what people want. I suppose unless you've got a load of money, then you can just go wallop, there it is. Nothing got answered there. I'm still confused. Oh, I'm not confused.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, no,
I think you can't do that. I think if it's a product that you're putting out in the world that is meant to make money and that you want lots of people to like, you have to listen to your data for what it is that they actually like. Because if you just kind of run amok with whatever it is that you personally want, I think that's the way that a lot of websites
but
get ruined.
The only thing then is that I go back to is the Apple, the flat screen. When you read your biography, and it was a big thing. Everyone was saying on every angle, we do not want a flat screen. And there are arguments, 50 different arguments of why buttons work better than a flat screen. But he still went with it. Mm-hmm. And then it became the thing. Funny enough, I think buttons were the better.
I think that's probably like
that's
one
just
example of
I think that's
I prefer that though. As long as that exists to me, that's enough for me.
You're like, I'm going to do whatever I want because that one time with that flat screen.
Well, I would do it anyway. I don't think I can bend. That's my problem. I don't think it's in me to bend.
I concur.
No, not in a bad way, in a good way.
No,
but if you want to go back to what was his name, Ford? What do people want if they get the customers and they want faster horses?
I don't think there's a hard and fast rule with it. I think it genuinely really depends on what the product is. What are you doing?
Yeah, I was thinking the only thing, because it's about personal development and I class myself at the forefront of that, then I'm telling you because I've done it. So it's not an idea I've come up with. This is what it is. And I've led the life that's showing you that this works. So yeah, I've come back and agreed with myself. Sorry, I'm happy again.
So what is it?
It's personal development magazine, but it's done on the basis of no bullshit and without anybody and not learning what everybody else told me, just creating my own life, and everything I'd learnt from there and what was needed is that. And from where I've been to where I've got to, I know that's the thing. It's not follow me. It's the things that are genuinely needed for everyone to. Yeah. So I think that's more leading the way, because it's not just here's a new hair product or whatever that's going to be a good thing. It's like
that's different because I didn't have the context, right? So if it's a website, content offering is all based on your life experiences and what you've learned. Are you saying this is what happened to me and this is what I've learned from this and this is how it can relate to you as well?
Yeah. So
Well,
as you said it.
Then
Yeah.
that's different. And then how many people are working on this? Is
Yeah.
this produced by you?
Yeah.
So then that's different. So you can run with that and see how it does, and see if people are responding to it, and you have a large enough audience just based on that, then you don't need to.
Yeah, it's only recently in business meetings, and they're saying, right, we've got to sort of distill it down to these people. And I'm saying, but
it's different if you have like
70.
stakeholders and investors involved in stuff.
No,
it
but
gets more
personal
complicated.
development. I keep saying to them, it's the 70. I want to put in there about weight training at 70. Like all this stuff you've learned about age, all bollocks. Like you just didn't realize because everybody's doing it. So it's too big. It's one of those things that's so big that you just assume that that's the way it is, and it's bollocks. So you have to go, well, it's not a 20-year-old thing because you don't start. Maybe you want to start something at 50. I'm more concerned with the 40-year-olds than the ones at the mass market. Which is anyway. Let's get off of this.
Well, when you have your data and you know what people are responding to, then that's your big argument.
They're responding to. It's just it is what it is. So it's just I don't care. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing this podcast. Why? Because I like meeting interesting people. Everything else is secondary. I can't do it the other way. I can't. Okay. Like the sponsors, like some products it could have had on the show, and I thought I've got nothing. But no, I don't want your product,
then fine, right? If you're getting what it is that you need to get from it, then fine. Yeah,
so I'm in my head. I'm happy. I'm shaking hands with myself. Right. So can you tell us anything about the book as an exclusive? Is it about you? Is it about?
No, it's I can't really talk about it. It's not about me. It's part of.
Is it a true
some of my
career? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Oh, this is so
mysterious
question now, yeah.
Well, when would you be likely? How far into it are you, percentage-wise? 10%, 50%, nearly finished?
I will be done writing it at the end of the year.
Did you say you're speaking to publishers?
Have one.
Oh, right. I was going to say, yes, you must be quite... so what's your deadline?
2nd of Jan.
Oh. Have you got to go? Like it's getting that tight.
Hands on the desk and a laptop.
Carry on.
Sorry, what?
So in terms of... the future, is there anything you would like to be doing?
To be honest,
specifically, would you like to have your own magazine or a website or a sports thing?
This coming year,
or would you like to start doing books, or is this just a one-off thing?
Yeah. So this year, with hopefully be having my book will be published next year, and I'm going to be doing a podcast around it as well, and.
All the cool people do podcasts.
They do.
Especially the early people.
Yeah,
when nobody wanted to know what podcasting was.
But this is the thing, is that it's hard, right? It's hard work doing a podcast. And I think that we're just going to have...
doing a podcast? Yeah.
They're like...
With us it is, yeah.
And you're going to... We're at kind of like peak-ish podcasts. You have so many. And then everyone who kind of went, we're going to do a podcast, and then no one listens and they get tired of doing it. They'll die off. Then the ones that are still interesting, because podcasting has been around for fucking ages. It's just that it got easier for people to actually, I think,
podcasting, I think, is going to go through so one of the people in magazines, when I was putting the magazine together, one of the top guys said to me, because at the time, 10 years ago when I started thinking about it, you got to think what magazines were going through. And I was doing the magazine and I'd only just learned to read and I got no experience and I got no money. And the guy said to me, I was saying, mate, everyone's saying to me, like, magazines, forget it, what are you doing? He said, every now and again, every industry gets filled up with people, and every now and again, it just shake out all the crap.
Yeah.
And I think magazines, podcasts, it will go through the same thing. Everyone, because they don't follow through. I spoke to somebody, I don't want to say their name because they promote us on the website, big company that shouldn't promote people. But
okay, we'll leave it at that then.
Yeah, I'm not going to even go to hints. It's just going to get embarrassing.
It's Costa, isn't it?
The Costa. No, this is a good company, and they said they said they pay more attention to the ones that are regular. Yeah. So they do. There are algorithms that people press buttons of. It's not completely just thrown up.
It's like with blogs, right? Like, I don't think the problem is having too many or whatever. It's like it sorts itself out, and it is really congested and saturated. But like, I feel like if it's good, people will find it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you treat it.
And if not, then why are you doing it? If it's just for you and you don't care that you have 12 people listening, then fine.
Yeah. What's your podcast going to be about?
It's related to the book.
So
That
we
I
can't even talk
about.
about it. Damn.
But what do you mean then? You're just going to do a one-off or a series?
No, it'll be series.
Ongoing, or is it just
Yeah,
a set?
yeah. Because the themes in the book are broad enough that there will be plenty of.
So the book
conversations to have.
is I suppose a thesis essentially. Then is it? Would you say, or is
The
it?
book?
Yeah, the book's going to be like a thesis, and it's going to be the jumping off point for something larger, perhaps.
I don't know.
I'm trying to ask around without,
You're like,
without being the
"Can you
person.
talk
Did you
about
threaten to overrule him or not?
No comment. The themes that I'm talking about in the book are it's some advice,
Right. Okay.
and I think and kind of exploring various things, and the conversations that I'll have on the podcast will be
Spinning off from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That kind of. I'm sort of getting the picture now without us. Ruining any NDAs and getting you sued. And
Will it be a
whatnot.
weekly podcast or a monthly one or a bi?
weekly.
Oh, weekly. So it's good. It's
Yeah.
a big book.
Yeah, it's and that's what I want to be doing. So
Yeah.
this has been a difficult year. The company and the pool that I was working for before shut down earlier this year.
Yes, 'cause
just
you
kind
were
of
working-
like suddenly.
Yeah, because you were doing some work with. I had heard of the website. It was the one that Lauren Laverne and
Yeah,
yeah,
the pool. Yeah,
the pool.
that
That's
one.
right. Yes, yeah. And then, are you allowed to say why it suddenly shut down, or
What is the pool?
They stopped. It was so after I was at BuzzFeed. I was very briefly. I worked at a place called Drive Tribe, which was founded by the ex Top Gear guys, and then was at Google for a while, and then I was at the pool. It was an online magazine for women, basically.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it there was no money.
right?
They basically ran out of money and were in terrible debt, and we
Right.
didn't know.
Oh,
So they just kind of paid us in December, and then all this horrible stuff started happening, and then we didn't get paid January, February, or March.
So how long would you say you've been involved in media?
Over 12 years.
Over 12
Almost
years.
13 years. Yeah.
So you're, and I tried to get this bit of advice for people. You're 21, 22, you've started in an office doing media, you don't really know what you want to do. As a broad bit of advice to yourself, as a whisper, so it's not being written down, you're not going to be judged by it or whatever. A genuine whisper to somebody like, listen, I'm from the future, do this. We've had from like journalism, say like learn a weird language.
Oh, I
nobody's
heard
ever
that.
thing.
Yeah.
So something like that. It doesn't have to be that, but be more friendly, take up a sport, like something you go, right, try and do this.
Yeah. It's hard. I think because I did so many different things.
Right, that you just had to.
Maybe
Maybe that's
it's like
the thing.
podcasting.
I was going to say maybe just dip your toe in everything.
I
where
think-
while you've still got time, while you're young enough to be able to do it, and not responsibility.
Yeah, I
wise.
think paying attention to the business side. Paying attention to the
Ah.
business side
Yeah.
of websites and how websites
Look how
make
they
money.
work. Right.
I think if I had had a bit more knowledge or more experience around that, and then also maybe a bit more on the technical side,
Because
I think I might have felt more
that's
confident. in certain
definitely
things.
lacking. Everyone sort of wants to jump on as a writer, and I don't know nothing about nothing. Not the way things work, trends coming in the future, or like you said, the business models, or when things are released. Just the
Yeah.
sort of algorithms of how the
Yeah.
thing works. Yeah, that's good because that is. I was going to say something, but people tend to just be, well, I've got to jump
Yeah,
in
you
and
don't
see
know.
what happens.
But that's in so many things. It's about you've got to learn the business of blank,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your thing is.
Yeah.
So I've even talked with people about, because I do a bit of casting, and it's a bit like it's not just about being an actor and whether you can act. It's about
Yeah.
the business of acting.
Yes.
But you could put that in anything. The business of painting, the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
of. You need to learn the
Yeah.
business side.
It's one thing to just
Yeah.
be like, I just really like painting, but then like, okay, well, what are you going to do with that? How
Yeah.
can you make money from
How
that?
many
How
paintings
can
can
you
you
make a
make a
living?
day? Yeah.
And then you kind of go into this whole,
Hmm.
clusterfuck of like the art industry and all of that, and that's really confusing. So it's like when you know more about the business side of stuff, and it's the not fun side. It's the same with writing a book. The same
Yeah.
with figuring out how publishing works, getting an agent, figuring that outside of stuff. That side out of stuff is crucial, because if you still want to do the creative art side of it, while you know how it actually works and you still want to do it,
Yeah.
then that's the right thing. If you figure out like what it actually takes to publish a book and you're like, cool off that, I just want to write.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
it's the difference between have you got a hobby or do you want this to be a career?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, that's what
And
it
the
is.
internet has made it possible to still lean on the hobby side without needing to do a lot of the other stuff. But I think that that's also part of the problem.
Yeah, and that's changing a lot as well. The
Yes, it
YouTubers
is.
aren't making a apart from the very top ones, they've changed. YouTube have changed the game basically with the algorithms. And
what would you have changed along the way if there was one thing you could have changed or not done or done? And there must be something. There can't be
nothing. No, I wish that I had made more informed decisions about the jobs that I decided to take. I spent so much time being like, oh, Google want to hire me? Amazing.
Oh, right.
And that sort of...
there's no direction.
Just being able... a company like that saying, we want you, I focused so much more on that than on, is this the job that I want to be doing on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Does this job entail? Who am I going to be working for? What are they like? I think the fact that we don't do 360-degree interviews is crazy, because if you think about it, you just meet these 2 people or maybe 3 people, 4 people, and then you go and you're there all of the time. You spend all of your time at these places. So I think for me, I could have saved myself a lot of grief if I had had more information and felt confident enough to ask more probing questions and to really, really interview the people that were interviewing me and treating it as a 2-way street rather than just being, how can I perform and say the right things and prove to you that I'm good enough to do this job because I know I can do this job, rather than, oh, I really want you to... is this the right place for me? What do I want from my next job? Yeah. Is that reflected in what this role actually is?
And that's always going to be a benefit to the person looking at you as well. That's never going to be a bad thing. Never.
Yeah, and if it is, well, then you don't want to fucking work there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It sort of fits itself. Yeah,
it's so I think that would have, if I could, because it wouldn't maybe change anything, but I would have been more informed and more knowledgeable going into these roles, and I think I would have had less of a shock when things didn't work out.
What are you into? What do you read, or what websites do you go to?
Do you read fiction or non-fiction?
I read both. It depends on my mood.
I don't know what the other one is.
I love television.
Yeah, what shows come to mind?
Oh God, that's I'm like
what ones pop into your head now?
The ones that popped into my head just now are Russian Doll.
What's that?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It's oh my God, why can't I think of the actress's name? But it's kind of dark, but it's really good.
And so Netflix, you watch Netflix?
I watch a lot of Netflix.
Books that you read?
Yeah, most recent books that I read, Jessie Burton's book, The Confession, is fiction. It's a really, really good book. She's a fantastic author. And nonfiction wise, there's a book called Lori Gottlieb. I think that's her name. It's called You Should Talk to Somebody, or You Should Talk to Someone.
Is that a therapy type?
Yeah, and she's a therapist, but then she goes to therapy. So she writes about her experiences with her patients and then what it was like for her going to a therapist as well.
Did I ever tell you about the time I analysed a therapist?
How'd it go?
Everything played out over the years as I said. It was accidental. I was trying to get an interview.
I feel like this is a cut scene from one of the Hannibal Lecter films.
No, because it was just one of them times where I knew, even though I was a dunce, I sort of knew things about people, and I met somebody who's going to work for the magazine, a psychologist.
Was going to.
And but I was talking to them because I'm always analysing everything. And when they were talking and I was saying stuff, they made micro things that, let's just call it micro psychology, that I could pick up on anyway. And as an idiot, I wasn't educated. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Why did they say...
So what do you mean micro-psychology?
Oh, I can't get it because it's not micro, it's more than that. But it's just reading
You have
somebody.
a good gut instinct
Something
for
like
what people are like.
Yeah.
You could tell that even if you're a psychologist, even if you have all these degrees...
You're still a person.
You're still a crazy
Yeah, that was
person.
their job. And I was talking to them.
I mean, therapists can be... Oh my God, my first therapist, I Googled her and I found out that she now is in jail.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah,
somebody
right.
struggling themselves.
And I was just like, what the fuck? But they don't have to, just because it's, it's their job, it's their craft, and people are people,
they're
right?
a person, and
They're
that's
a
their job. It's
person.
no more bigger than... I never give anybody's profession.
But you don't...
But they were... I was talking to them about some stuff, and they got a little bit offended. I thought, well, that was weird, but I'm just telling you the truth about something experienced. And as I left it, I thought, there's something with that person to do with this. And 5 years later, they were writing articles on this. And I thought, oh, I bloody well knew it. I thought, you're messed up yourself. But not in a good way, because now they're in a posh place And it's I thought they're terrible. They're not good because they got very offended and all this weird stuff like a child.
I'm guessing something that you were talking about triggered some sort of judgment in them.
And then they were being
shitty about it.
I thought, but it's like the politicians in with Trump. You only have to scratch the surface, and they go, "Oh, they're just nothing. It's just like all this pretense about the politician and government." He goes, "They're just people, and they're acting in that way. There's nothing more to it than that." That's what saved me with the magazine, not knowing that the hierarchy was supposed to be important. I didn't know, so I just went and knocked on the doors of CEOs and said, "Can I see you?" That was it. It saved me. But because you realise they're just people, are just you. They're you.
And that sort of approach, I think I've benefited from that as well, because I am on the outside of the class system.
And you don't know the
here.
rules.
I don't know the rules. I didn't go to university. I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure that there's a very, tight journalism hierarchy, and I just kind of swooped in and kind of was like, okay, well, I'm an editor now, and I got here completely in that voice.
Well, it was the 90s.
And I don't know. I think being on the outside of these systems sometimes,
not knowing.
although then it means that you carry a certain amount of shame and vulnerability around that, and thinking, I'm never going to be smart enough, I'm never going to be good enough. Like you guys.
You burden yourself with a load of weight.
You burden yourself with it, but then at the same time, it's also a gift, because you look at this system and go, I don't know what this is. I just want to talk to this person, so I'm just going to talk to them. Yeah. And because they probably never get that, they're going to go, hi,
but as
what
I
can I do
said,
for
one
you?
of the most amazing things that helped me when I was putting the magazine together, I didn't know what magazine, I didn't read them, was realising that when I was at low levels of people who's just started a little website of their own, and I'm asking them, they don't want to know nothing about what I'm trying to change. They're just going, well, that's not on. Why don't you do that with them? And they go,
middle management.
But when you go to the hardest person to get at, he's actually got more time in his hands, and they've been around long enough to see weird things happen, so they're more accepting of. I remember one of the third managing directors of a published company. I suddenly realised why I liked them all, because they were always silent and just listening to me. Just watching and listening. They weren't going, what? But why didn't you do that? What people do. But why? How are you going to do that? But they would just what? And as he was silent, I thought, he hasn't said anything for 5 minutes. And I've just been telling him about. And that was somebody that went, oh, you remind me of so-and-so. And I thought, it was the rules of not knowing anything, not being overconfident. And I said this before when, I've forgotten that, Citizen Kane, who directed it.
Orson Welles.
Yeah, in an interview, and they said, how did you know to do all those weird angles and all that? He said, because it was the first day he'd been on a film set. He said, confidence. He said, I forgot it. What did he say? Ignorance. He said, no confidence can match it. And that the hairs on my arms went up. I thought, oh, that's what it was. When people say about me doing things, I think, I have no confidence in it, really, because I just feel like you don't know enough, because I didn't know what I was doing. That's what saved me. It wasn't any weird psychology. I just knocked on doors and said, can I meet you? Because I didn't know you weren't allowed to do it. So that's what saved me. So not knowing the rules. And I've tried to explain this to somebody who's literally a mile away from a place that I'd been to get advice from. And they said, how did you get to meet so-and-so, get an interview with him? And I told her the story. I used to go to just knock on the doors and say, can I meet them? Most of them don't. But sometimes they just let you up. They do. Yeah. And I was telling her, why don't you just go and do it now instead of going to because she's going to you to get the thing. And I was like, no, I can't really do it. And in my head, I'm going, I've literally just told you what I did, and you're still fighting against yourself by going, well, I don't know.
It's ingrained, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
but
so
you're burdened with all these rules. And that's what I
yeah.
say about the personal development. It's actually letting go of all the rules. It's not that complicated. You don't need all that stuff. You just find people. You don't have to do it all yourself. And the first thing is find people. Don't do it on your own, because most people that need help or they're reading books about personal development is to know that you're probably not somebody that's going to do something on your own. You probably need other people, and that's fine. Find somebody that's like you, doesn't like what you do, but they love what they do, and that's what you need, and it all works together. Simple as that. That's how it all starts. I'd actually say, especially with the internet now, I'd say with advice for people, just communicate with people. Don't sit on your own and think, I don't know what I'm doing here and all that. Even with advice, you want to work for a company, go and ask to meet people. It's not even a job application, because you never know. I always played the numbers. I would go, if I knock on 1,000 doors, cut 2 people might be introduced me to somebody. And it sounds like such a cliched thing. But you go, if you just logically think like that, it works. So you want a job with a company or whatever, why don't you just go and try and meet some people that work there and say, can I spend 5 minutes to ask you about the company?
Yeah.
And they say,
And
oh,
actually
guess
learn
what?
about
Somebody's
it.
left. That
Yeah.
stuff happens. That stuff happens. But sitting on your own, I found with people, that if you're not that type of person, like, just thinking I'm on my own here and I don't know what to do and I'm just going to sit on the internet, you go, there's other people exactly like you everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I kept saying, like on the last podcast, is to know that there's so many people out there that are exactly like you. You're not on your own. And if you just knew that, you'd go, oh, wow. But you don't, because we all sit behind computers and do nothing. You don't get out and talk and knock on doors. So I'm giving my advice when I ask you for yours. So outside of your book, is there anything past that you're looking at?
No.
No?
I'd say a book's a pretty big.
Will there be
We'll allow it. Book and
I'm
podcast.
thinking like 10 years. Is there a stream of books? Are you becoming an author now, or is this a one-off thing?
That would be nice. Yeah, I don't want it to be a one-off
Right.
thing.
Oh, okay.
That's
See,
what
that's in you.
That's what I want to. That's what I want to do. And hopefully that'll be possible.
What publishers are you going with?
Are you allowed to say?
Trying to
No, we're not
wheedle
allowed
down
to say.
What type of
no.
publisher? What
Can't
publisher
really
is it?
say.
Is it
No.
a fiction or whatever the other one is?
Well, no,
Non-fiction.
we established it was non-fiction. Or whatever
It's
word
coming
you're
out
going to
next
come
year.
up with.
I was
Yeah.
trying to slowly sort of angle her into what
I know.
she likes and what
Not
she
gonna
does.
work, mate.
Didn't really get there.
And what? Obviously, I imagine that's kind of occupying most of your time at the moment. But what else have you got going on? You know, that we can point people to in the immediate.
Yeah, I do monthly radio show with Sally Hughes on Soho Radio. So that's the next one's on Wednesday, and I just have a lot of random stuff at the moment. Yeah, I try to keep my website up to date, so catesevilla.com, but I don't think it's up to date at the moment.
Yeah, and you're on Twitter. You're Kate.
At Cate Sevilla, on Instagram at Cate Sevilla.
Nice and easy to remember.
got all those handles.
When would the first image of your book be on your site as a sort of coming soon?
I think we're announcing it in January.
January. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
First,
soon.
middle, end.
Well, no, the second is delivery, isn't it?
Probably, I don't know. Let's say late Janury.
It would just save me getting up at midnight every night to sort of refresh. To retweet, be the first one to retweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Exclusive. Well, listen,
Is that how you're
she was
gonna
vague
frame
about
this?
it here
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
I know what she's going to do. The first thing in the morning. Or I could probably go to the Trump site and see what it is. Are you attached to any weirdos on like Trump or anything? Like, do you keep a
Am I attached to any weird?
like? Do you? Because I was thinking
It's a very
I'd like
personal question,
to
sir.
bank up a
He's
bank
like, I am, and that's why I can't
to
talk.
bank up a bank of knowledge, but I don't want to give them the link. If you see what I mean, I don't want there to be an added thing.
What?
I want to know what they're up to. Like,
Oh, do you follow?
Oh,
but I don't want to do it because then you become. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
yeah, but you can just search for people, can't you? You don't
Yeah.
have to. You don't have to actually follow Trump. Just type Trump.
Oh yeah, you can.
Type
Can you
Trump
reach
in
people's
search.
social media without being joined to it?
Unless they're
People talk about him so much, you kind of don't.
yeah,
really need to
unless they've got
follow
a
him.
private profile.
Well, the next show is about Thanksgiving, so he's definitely not going to get mentioned in that one.
He's got things.
We've got one show
got
that's not mentioned.
He's pardoning the turkey, mate. You can't get away from it.
Gross.
Yeah.
I feel sad just thinking of his name again. I shouldn't have thought of it. I was in a good mood then. Just pathetic.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop him existing, does it? It doesn't.
I'm what
like
I'm trying to.
Voldemort. You can
My
say his name.
my light at the end of the tunnel is
Yeah.
with him. Hopefully, it was
November
he'll-
2020.
no, he'll vanish and we'll have learned a lot. Like it will fix something that was there. That's what I'm hoping for.
What I want to happen, if he was impeached, great, but not great, because then you have Pence as president, and like,
Yeah,
what's
that's-
worse than Pence? Because he knows more, and like that's what's
Yeah, he knows
terrifying
more,
to
but
me.
he also thinks that homosexuality can be cured.
No, I mean, like, he's terrifying.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
legitimately terrifying. So I've never been like, I really want him out and to get Pence in. Like, it's all fun.
That was a hilarious
But-
thing during the Republican primary, wasn't it? When it got down to him and Ted Cruz, and everyone was like, "Let's get behind Ted Cruz." It was like, really,
Come on, Ted.
really? That's a bit like, "Let's get behind Mussolini." And
Not Hitler.
yeah, exactly.
it's bad.
It was. I mean, that's an extreme comparison,
But what
it
I
was
want
the
to
idea
happen
of, yeah.
is I just maybe just like close enough. Maybe like October next year, so that it kind of doesn't even matter. But I want him to be humiliated and thrown in jail.
I predict, as nobody else has said, right, from knowing the psychology of the man, he won't leave. There's no way he's going to leave, espiously with all the court
Oh,
cases.
he
and all
will
that.
never.
He's not going to leave.
resign.
I reckon he'll sod off to Russia and just slag America off them, saying like he's been forced out.
Do you know what? That would actually be amazing if he's like, okay, guys, you were right.
I
I'm
think he
gonna
can
go
have a
move
court
in
in
with Vladimir.
exile.
He's not going to leave the presidency.
Him and Steven
He can't go
Seagal.
to court. He can't face any actual justice. He's hiding behind a wall of lawyers. If that goes, mate, he is capable of absolutely anything. And if he can't do things like get the army on his side or whatever, so they physically can't
He
remove
just
him.
needs to be humiliated. I want him to be so embarrassed.
So
ashamed.
Yeah, but he's
But it won't happen
got the,
because he'll
he's
be
delusional.
The same, he'll be the Nixon thing. Like he'll resign or he'll be forced from
No,
office,
he's
and then
not gonna-
Pence will
no.
pardon him.
Oh God.
Yeah, won't he? He'll pardon him. That'll be
as
his
long as
first
there's a
and
good
maybe
outcome
only.
for this, like we learned some of the poison of
As
it.
long as he's not re-elected, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, just turn the TV off.
I think
it.
I
Do
think
what
he
you
will
want
be,
now.
I'm afraid.
You think that he will?
Yeah.
I don't.
But the
think
thing is,
he
you
will.
don't know what's going to happen. There's so much.
But I've
time.
said that before.
Yeah, but I mean, if George,
you
you
can't
think,
really use that anymore.
George
No,
W.
you're like, it couldn't possibly. Again,
You think like
couldn't possibly.
George W. Bush, how incompetent he was, and the fact that everyone went,
And it went.
"Oh, the Iraq War was bollocks. There wasn't any weapons after all."
Yeah.
Well, he wins again. You know what I mean? So I go, well,
Yeah, and you never know. I don't trust him not to start something somewhere just to sort of get the military thing going again and the flags. I don't trust him. So
yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
Well,
Theo is
listen,
against fascism.
Kerem started to move in his chair, which is a sign of
It's
like.
against medium cuts.
Yeah.
Listen,
And what was the other thing?
Wars.
Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much for asking.
we're keen to follow what this book is, this secret book.
Yeah, no,
It's
you,
a big
you have to
countdown.
let us know what it is.
I will,
And
I will.
I mean,
Will
obviously
you,
we'll retweet it.
will
and
you
stuff
be
up.
putting a countdown on your? I always think
No,
that
because
builds
I
it up
don't
a-
know when we're actually announcing.
I thought that
But
gives
when
countdown
it's
to
out,
the
people must be like,
announcement.
"Oh, is that okay? Great."
a ticking clock always has a bit of theatre to something that's
You
released.
just have a perpetual
I don't
clock.
think, unless you're Taylor Swift, I don't really think it works.
Well, actually, it's now time to reveal.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you very much for the show. We're
Yes,
definitely going
thank
to talk
you.
about your book and see what this thing is.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we're going to have you in for
I
like
wanted
a
to have
reading
a
of it
book-
or something, a chapter reading.
I'll come back and talk about
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Well, there you go. Is that legally binding?
There is.
That
It's
might-
verbal contract.
Yeah.
Yep.
there you go. Thank
There
you.
we
I will.
All right. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kate. Bye, everyone.